So I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, but for real estate, I am all the way up to Palm Beach and I go all the way down to Miami Beach.
Okay.
So Fort Lauderdale is perfect because it's the in-between of both.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode here on the Owl Podcast powered by Celsius Beverage. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Ellie Santra, and we have another co-host. My guest was on the shrimp tank. Val, why don't you say hello to the audience real quick?
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, you were back 2-3 weeks ago. She was on the shrimp tank and she said, I want to pick on my best friend here on the Owl Podcast. So we booked her best friend, Nicole. Well, Nicole, welcome to the Owl Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I guess I'm going to let Val do the honor. Val, tell us why you wanted to pick on your friend today on the Owl Podcast, why you wanted to have her attend this awesome podcast that we're hosting.
Totally. So Nikki is one of my dear best friends and also an amazing entrepreneur and incredible businesswoman. And I figured, why not have her on here? We also always love picking on each other a little bit. So I figured, why not do it live?
This is going to be really hard, having you look at me and not laugh.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, Nicole, tell us a little bit about your business. What are you up to these days? And do you go by Nicole, Nikki? Because I know on social media we have it both ways, it seems.
Yes. So I usually go by Nikki.
Okay.
So I am a real estate agent in South Florida. I'm a luxury agent that works with a boutique firm, and I'm also a very well-known yoga teacher in the South Florida community, and I am a co-owner of a high-end yoga retreat company with a business partner of mine. So with that being said, I'm a jack of all trades, master of absolutely none, and I'm definitely a student for life. So ask away, and I would love to answer anything.
Well, Ellie, this episode is right up your alley. She's a musician. She teaches meditation. So what are your thoughts, Ellie?
Musician?
Sorry.
You're a musician?
Yeah, I'm a musician and meditation teacher. I released an album of meditation music like a couple months ago.
What do you play?
I play piano, I sing, I do gigs like all around.
Amazing. I play the drums.
Ooh, that's cool. I've always wanted to play the drums. I fake play the drums.
That's really, we will have to connect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it live on the air. Come on.
I mean,
Start a little drum
now.
beat.
Never mind.
Do a little drum beat. Come on, Ellie. Give us something. We haven't done this in a long time.
God, no. Next time. Okay. Well, first, where are you guys based, or where are you based? I guess just so everybody knows.
So I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, but for real estate, I am all the way up to Palm Beach, and I go all the way down to Miami Beach.
Okay.
So Fort Lauderdale is perfect because it's the in between of both. Trying to get from Miami Beach all the way to Palm Beach would just be a nightmare, vice versa.
Yeah.
So the really cool part about Fort Lauderdale is, God bless the Bright Line as well.
I know. Yeah.
But it's just nice to have that in between. And to be honest, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes south, 40 minutes north. So
I do that all the time, like gigs, like Miami here. I'm always back and forth, but I'm curious, like just your journey in general. Like obviously everyone has their like yoga story. Like what got you into it? What's your journey been? So tell us first about that.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's so funny because with yoga and real estate, it's a dime a dozen of so many different, yoga teachers and real estate agents. It's like real estate is like, we're like the Hollywood actresses of Florida. Like there's so many.
Yeah.
And with yoga teachers, it's the same thing.
Similarly, yeah.
The cool part is that every single human being has different body language. So the moment you walk into any different studio or any different class, it's completely diverse. So starting with yoga, I want to say that I got into it when I was about 12. I really owe it to my mom, to be honest. She had some stress in her life, and I remember her telling me that she was turning on a road and she had her hands on the wheel, and she was like, God, why are my hands like so high tension? So she's like, I just need a moment. So she turned into a studio and she laid on a mat and she just cried for days. And then finally she got up and she was like, She like went to a warrior. She's like, I don't know what any of these people are doing. So, when she got into it, she was like, I really think you should come to yoga. I was like, Mom, I'm like 11 or 12.
I think that's a young age to get into it, but that's really cool that you got started
with
so
an
young.
awesome teacher.
Yeah.
In Fort Lauderdale at the time. And from then, I wasn't like constantly going. I wasn't some like 12-year-old guru. But, over time, I think when I hit 16, 17 years old, I was practicing a lot. I never thought I would teach. When I was about 19 years old, I ended up getting my teacher certification. And since then, I'm completely in love with yoga. I think that yoga isn't a sport. It's not a competition. It's not a religion. It's just a way of life to just move and breathe and literally have your ass handed to you with no weights. You just have to sit with yourself.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, why not full time? Right. I know
full-time yoga.
There's big commissions in real estate, of course. But if this is your passion, can you go that direction?
So funny you asked that. And the main answer is no, I wouldn't be able to do it full time because I have so much ADD that I'm fortunately and unfortunately a workaholic. So for me, I owe this to my father now. He explained that you should have 3 things in life that give you success and health and happiness, and one should be your main job that helps you pop off. And of course, you should love your main job. The second one is a hobby, something that kind of makes you some money, but it's not like a killing. And the third is just something that's creative, something artistic to keep you sane. And the cool part about having that triangle is that if something is too overbearing in one, take a vacation to the second one. If that's too much, get creative and just take a moment off work. So for me, the really interesting part is that, yoga in some way is my full time because it's what I practice in life. And I love it too much. It's like, you love a restaurant, and if you start waiting tables there, you'll never eat there again. So for me, it's like, how can I incorporate all of this into one? So when I got into real estate about 10 plus years ago, I was like, how can I change the game and just somehow incorporate my yoga into it? So I started actually, and Val has experienced this a couple times. She's been on shoots with me, but I'll do like forearm stands, like scorpion poses, like on the tables and stuff. And we'll throw it onto social media and people are like, whoa, this is crazy. But if you're not looking at it for the real estate, you're looking at it for the yoga or the art. Like, it's just very cool. It's very diverse. And also I started a yoga retreat company. So me and my business partner, Kim Dorning, we owned the yoga retreats. And the really cool part is all of my clients in real estate are my dear friends. So for me, it's important that resale is prime. I am the negotiation queen. So I love to just make sure people get the right pieces of property. And then when you close, it's like, congratulations. Do you want to go to Iceland with us?
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really cool because we have 8 to 10 people per trip. We have on-call massage therapists. We typically fly a chef with us, or we have a local chef depending on where we are. And it's just, again, like all the people that I work with, not work for, it's a team in real estate and in yoga. It's nice to have them on these retreats because it's like, that's how comfortable I am with these people. So
it's great networking as well.
Yeah.
That's how you really get to know people and they trust you.
Yeah.
But so often you go to networking events and you hand out business cards, and then often it leads to nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You get this like immediate high, like drinking this coffee on this table, but then it wears off, right? And then all of a sudden you do it over and over again. And when you look, at past relationships, the ones that you spend more time with end up developing better, I find.
Yeah.
And then it leads to better results. Would you agree, Val?
I would agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's tough too. Not tough at all, but you have to do it tastefully when you're mixing yoga with real estate, right? Like, I'm a girl. I don't want it to look like too sensual and like I'm wearing shorts and heels and doing it's like you're appropriately dressed. There is a fine line. Of course, you want to make sure that people are looking at this like art. And it's funny because with Larry and I, back in college, I should say her college, because I pretty much dropped out and was like, like kind of living with her part-time in Boca. I was teaching at different studios. I had 2 restaurant jobs. Like it was like I was just honing it in. And we we had this thing where we were just joking around, and we would do these like rap videos on online, and they like became viral to the point where it was like embarrassing. We were like, okay, like we're embarrassed, but also we would like to make it on Ellen. So I mean, should we do that? But then, when she got into a real job, she was like, I can't have people like watch me like spitting Migos into the camera. And then it was funny because her boss came up to her and was like, is this your daughter? And her mom was like, yeah. And he was like, brilliant. This is the best thing I've ever seen. We were like, oh my God, this is cool. But, we ended up kind of like phasing that out because we were kind of afraid. We're like, oh, we're getting into business. But now it's like, dude, I'm so lax. I'm going to do a forearm stand on this table. I'm going to sell this house. Like, it's awesome. I mean, for me, I think yoga has done this for me, essentially. I'm just being myself and I'm killing it because it's like, if you never tell a lie, you never have to remember anything. And my favorite quote on the planet is someone busier than you is getting a facial right now. So the coolest part about that is that like you can have self-care and you can still kill it. You can work really hard. You can travel. For me, I was like, okay, if I'm going to travel, I've got to make it some sort of business. So I personally don't feel guilty leaving. But the glory about, social media, and honestly, the glory about COVID is that so many people got used to working remote. So I'm able to do all this stuff on social media. So anyways, we might get those rap videos back on play. People are like, oh, when are they coming back? So
I am curious because, you mentioned like going viral, and obviously times are different now, but I feel like everybody is like trying to go viral and like become an influencer. Do you have any advice for people out there that are like,
I've got advice in the sense of, it's so different. Like Instagram changes all the time. Like I would have had way better advice for the Instagram influence mark. I don't even like to call it an influencer because everyone and their grandma is an influencer now. All power to them. But I would say that just getting creative on videography. I'm a big videographer. So I think essentially it was like really pretty photos and videos, but now it's come down to like connecting with people that know people that shout you out, that do this, that do that. So, I mean, like Instagram boosts and all that stuff, that's not going to get you anywhere. I think just being able to go out and network and socialize. And for example, if you're in the yoga community, meet other yoga community members on social media, go have lunch with them, take a couple photos with them. Like it's really just as funny as it is to be like so honed in on social media, not having the reality. You have to go into reality to get the social media following. So we'll never get rid of reality. Like that is the basis of becoming successful on social media. And I think the most important thing now, and I'm not a pro at this, but I think it's a little concerning for a lot of these generations that are influencers, because I think like a solid high percentage of the time, they're not happy. They're just like creating this happiness online. So I think it's extremely important to show people, yeah, I travel. Yeah, I have a really good time, but like I work my ass off. Like people work really hard to get to that point. It doesn't just happen. But I don't know. It's a different day and age because a lot of people are also getting sponsored and getting to travel the world. And I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool that, this younger group of people are able to do stuff like that. Meanwhile, we're all like, wait, we were so used to 9-to-5 jobs. Like what? It's turning, it's changing. And that's what's so cool about real estate and yoga, because although it's these 9-to-5, well, not yoga per se, but real estate, it's like these 9-to-5 jobs, but they're really not 9-to-5 anymore. Like you just throw you throw all of these listings on social media, you connect with people online, you can go travel with your other clients, you can come back. I mean, most of the time, knock on wood, most of the time I get on a yoga retreat, one of my listings is under contract while I'm there. So it's like, I'm here working all the time. And then I get there and someone's like, hey, here's an offer. I'm like, this is like, hopefully I didn't say that out loud.
They're never going to know.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's amazing that people don't have to know where you are. And a client of mine, a really great client of mine, bless him, we were in his car one day, and he was glued to his phone. And I was like, I can't have a conversation with you. We're all glued to these phones. And he was like, yeah, but if I didn't have this in my hand, I would be stuck on a desk, with my office phone. So because of this, I'm able to do all this. And I was like, well, now I feel like an asshole. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So the glory of the phone is that we're all so glued to it, but we have so much freedom also having it. So there's a caveat there.
Cool. So can you share with our audience your typical work week, right? Because you're doing yoga, you're doing real estate, you're doing retreats. And I think on social media, we only see the highlight reel, right? Everything looks so pretty.
Yeah.
But you get your hands dirty all the time, right? Real estate is so hard, right? I have some friends that are in Parkland. They're at the fair every Sunday in the 90-degree heat, and they have a booth set up. Then I go to a different picnic, and they're there as well. Then they have banners all across town. Then they're,
especially in
headshots
South
at the bagel
Florida,
store, right? And then on a billboard. So it's like, they have to work on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, doing
the weekends
home showings.
Weekends are the biggest.
So kind of share with us, because often real estate professionals don't get a break.
Yeah, well, that's true. We don't get a break, but we also do, because it's not like we're showing things back to back to back every single day. But I think so to put this, somebody asked me the other day, they're like, oh, do you teach a lot of yoga? I was like, I'm super part-time because I'm full real estate. And they were like, well, how many classes do you teach a week? And I was like, 11.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm tired, but I'm not. I'm just getting started. So my work week would pretty much be, typically I teach yoga in the mornings. On Monday, I travel to Miami. I teach at a magnificent studio called Soul Yoga. So I'll go to on Mondays, and Tuesdays usually I do a lot of work in Miami Beach. So I've kind of placed that to where I show property, and then I walk right into the studio and I teach 2 back-to-back classes, and then I come back to Lauderdale. Other than that, I mean, I'm just, a couple open houses for the listings that I'm allowed to do open houses at. A lot of them are very private, so they won't, let open houses be. But usually the way it would go would be yoga in the morning. A perfect week would be yoga in the morning, showings in the afternoon. I could personally practice yoga at night. That hasn't happened for quite some time, which is a blessing in itself in some way. But I would say that it's sporadic out of the days. And there are some times where people say, hey, listen, I know this is super short notice. Is there any way you can show this in 1 hour? And I speak to every realtor. Everyone hates that so much, but it's such a karmic industry. I swear, you guys, the moment that you say no to that person, that's the person who ends up buying the house. Mm. So you always try to, I want to say that we are nonstop, but we do have a lot of pockets of time. So it's really, really cool to be an agent, to have that time, to have really great listings. So a day in the life of me would be, again, yoga, showings in the afternoon. I love cooking. If I have time to actually cook at night, that's amazing. I end up getting to bed by 11 because I end up powering through emails, to be honest, probably around like 3 o'clock to 6. And then
where do you fit in all the Instagram posts you send me?
I was like, she has a serious question. Let me turn to her for the first time. Yeah, in those pockets of time, that's when I'm sending her some animal Instagrams.
Red lights.
Yeah,
lights are like 5 minutes long in South Florida.
Yeah, that's true. And the bridges.
No, sure. Nikki's always busy. Whenever we're anywhere, I think your sister did a reel once of you, like always on your phone.
Yeah.
Nikki's always making sure she's staying on top of things.
Don't give her any good ideas. She looked down.
I just looked down. I just got a vibrate. I was like,
but it's definitely something that we're all cheering her on for. We love to make fun of her for it, but it's just fun.
The thing too is, like, we're all superhuman. We're not superhuman. We're all
human.
We're all very human in the sense of, like, I sit down with myself from time to time and I'm like, gosh, I could have worked harder at that. Like, what could I have done differently? Or like, did I do this properly? Like, I am a big critic to myself. But then I look back and I just sit back for a moment and I think about what I have done. Like, I've done over $200 million in sales. And that's active listings and active things that I've closed. Sorry, not active listings, active sales that I've closed. I do a lot of off market, so that's not including that. I have 100% list to sell ratio, which means that typically when I put things on the market, they sell at that price. So I'm pretty good at, knowing my stuff. Other than that, I work with a super boutique firm, and it was really cool because, when I did leave college, I pretty much dropped out and I was like, I'm just going to go get like 3 restaurant jobs because a lot of my friends were like, Dad, can you wire me $5 for a sandwich? And I was like, okay, I can't be like, I have to depend on myself, which my parents are amazing. I mean, I must have saved a village in a past life. They're wonderful, but they were smart to think like, hey, I'm canceling your Florida prepaid. You need to go figure your stuff out. And when I was in the restaurant industry, people with their master's degrees were coming in like, can I get a job? So when I kind of had that like go getting attitude, changing in my car, going to a different restaurant, changing in my car, going to another one, when social media came out, started modeling, started, influencing, people were paying me to promote things. People were flying me to do, yoga privates for weddings or NFL off season for California commercials. And then it kind of like slimmed down. And I was like, social media changes so much. Like, let me try to spin this into something that I can actually do locally. And that's when real estate really came into play. And I don't know, it just kind of honed in. And so, yes, when I look back and I think about the things that I've done, I haven't stopped there. You can ask my husband. He's like, why don't you celebrate any closings? I'm like, no, I don't celebrate. He doesn't even know half the stuff because it's like, this is a good job done. And the moment you start celebrating that and spending and doing all this like lavish stuff, like all these realtors with sunglasses inside, and like I'm not trying to throw shade, no pun, I'm trying not to throw shade at anyone, but it's like to stay humble in this high-end caliber of real estate is a blessing. Like it's nice to know that I'm still a yogi.
Where's your bag that you brought?
It's out there.
She's calling you out. She's calling it out.
Anyways, it's still okay to celebrate.
Do you have any other questions for me, Valeria?
I like the vowels on the show today.
I think that's all. So humble.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the harder things, right? Often on socials, again, we just see the highlight reel of, oh, look, you did $200 million of selling real estate, but it's a pain in the ass. You get told no all the time, right? You try to get X listings from millionaires. They're like, go away, right? And you have to consistently cold call, I'm assuming, at certain times. So just talk about just really the harder side of real estate.
You should tell the story about the curators, how we were art curators.
No, we're not going to tell that one.
Tell it.
No. Listen. No, but I will tell you. I will tell you some. I will tell you some crazy stories, though. Well, I'll highlight them.
Call her directly on Owl to hear the crazy story. She's not going to share it live with our audience.
No. I won't.
Owl calls are not recorded, so there you go.
But yeah. So it's so tricky, especially when COVID hit. Everyone and their grandma got their real estate license. So, which is awesome. Like there is enough room for everyone. I could care. I invite everyone to join this industry. It's awesome. But the thing is like what people don't realize is because during COVID, so many people got their license, didn't really have to work, cashed out on all these like houses that they just listed things and it was it. But now we're kind of back in that normal market where we're still in a strong market. But it's a different time where people aren't throwing bidding wars on things that aren't reasonably priced. Like I had a killer point lot. I think it was going for 24 million back right before COVID hit. And I remember people coming in like, oh, you're just a kid. You don't know what you're doing. You added a 0 by accident. And I was like, okay, well, if you want to see it, let me know. And then when COVID hit, all the people from California and San Francisco came in and they were like, what's wrong with it? Why is it so cheap? I was like, we're having a flash sale. I was like, that's right. So it just completely changed our market. We just kind of like pushed everything up. And now it's like we've calmed things down. So my whole point to that, the hard part of real estate is that when so many people joined, I feel like cold calling is really difficult because you don't want to bother. Like you don't want to feel like a telecomer or, like a like some sort of salesman that's trying to get like a magazine person or something. Like when you call people, they're already like, no. I mean, I really don't cold call by the grace of God, but yeah, it's difficult because the moment someone hears that you're an agent, they're like, I have someone I already know. It's like, no, that's not why I'm calling.
Even friendships.
Yeah.
You like, they can smell it a little bit. They're
Totally.
like, oh, are they inviting me here for
Right.
this
It's like, or are they trying to sell me on something? And that's the difficult part and that's why a lot of my real estate clients are my friends, because it's like, I want to do the best for my friends. It's not just going to be like a quick closing and I'll never see you again. Like I want you to be at my birthday, or I want you to come on a trip. And the thing is, you really get to know people, you guys, when you travel with them. Like you really, like people have travel anxiety. Kim, my business partner, says it all the time. Like, you know, they want the best room.
Sometimes you get to know them too much.
You get to know them
You're
too
like,
much.
oh my God, they are really sloppy. Right?
100%.
You're like, they don't brush their teeth.
But I want to know
like, oh,
all
geez.
that. I want to know all of that stuff about my clients. I want to know all of it, and I want to love every part of them. So I'm never afraid to invite them on, even if they're like the top of the top. I'm like, dude, come. Like this will be awesome, because the biggest thing for me when we were starting this retreat company was I don't want to have 30 plus people. I want to have one dining room table, and I want to have every single person at the same table every single night. And I want that 17-year-old to have lunch with that 65-year-old, you know, while none of us are at this table back at home, because it's like, you're enjoying this experience. You get vulnerable. You know, it's not one of those situations where everyone's crying, but it's like you get vulnerable. You enjoy your time. We power pack so many different things in. Like, you know, in Iceland, actually, I'll reference Italy. We're doing Italy in late May. And the way that we do this is, first off, we rent this incredible castle. Okay. So it's already you walk in, you're already jaw dropped. You're like, this experience is amazing. And I get to experience it with these group of people I don't know. So you're vulnerable while you're walking in. We have the best food. We obviously have great wine because it's Italy. We make people do hikes. We go on a boat cruise. We do a wine tour. We make people do yoga and meditation every morning. So you literally pack in your day. And by the end of the trip, which is like 4 or 5 days in, people are like, I can't believe we're already going home. But I have all these memories and I get to bring this back with me. So you share this like beautiful experience with your clients or just random people that join.
So I was gonna say, is this like an exclusive like VIP invite for clients, or is it like anyone that goes to your classes can join? Like,
so it's of course it's not just for clients. Like it's for anybody, but you do have to know either one of us, or by word of mouth. We would have to know at least 2 to 3 people before they join, because again, we're under the same roof.
Yeah.
So it can't just be like, we've unfortunately had to deny people because of that. I'm sure they're really cool people, but it's like, if we don't know you, you know, we're not sleeping with one eye open here.
Yeah.
People. Yeah.
Going back earlier, you talked about, you know, people stereotyping you because of your age, right? And I always kind of, you know, look past that in my early days when I was in my 20s. I'm still today a financial advisor, and I always would watch professionals be like, oh, I need to bring someone else out with me who has gray hair. And I'd always say, you just have to have confidence, right? You just have to, you know, look that individual in the face and, you know, don't stumble on your words and just be confident, share knowledge with them. So you said, you know, people were calling you for properties that were $20-30 million.
Yeah.
Right. And certain people to your right were making fun of you, almost like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you're too young to be pulling this off.
Yeah.
So share with our audience kind of, you know, what gets you through, I guess, you know, those individuals that are saying that about your age.
So it doesn't really happen anymore, because this was 10 years ago. And let's be honest, I don't look 16 anymore. But to make that question a quick answer, first off, everyone, they were wrong. Okay. I killed it, and still do. And secondly, honestly, confidence. Having confidence. I mean, the first couple years, of course, you're like, am I doing this right? You're kind of like spinning your wheels. You're like, you're not pre-approving people properly. But then you like get into all these scenarios, and you've already gone through that a couple times where you're like, I'm not doing it anymore. Sorry, I can't show this to you until you show me these proof of funds. You know, if it's a friend of mine or something, you know, I'll go ahead and without proof of funds, of course, I'll show them because we just like the retreats, if it's a word of reference, of course, that's the best way. But to kind of avoid, or I guess not avoid, but conquer people like that, I think it just comes down to asking them the right questions or answering the right questions. It's confidence at the end of the day. It's body language. And that's what's so cool about spinning it off to yoga again, because, your body changes every single day. And it's like to be able to go into a studio. I mean, just picture this, and this, and and you should get into yoga if you don't.
I don't know this.
I know,
do
he
not
doesn't
know this.
know.
You don't know this.
I do not.
But it's a really beautiful thing. Like everyone, when's the last time we actually went? It's like no one takes a moment to actually breathe. And what's so beautiful about being in a room, just reminding people that's all I do. I'm not like some crazy teacher. I'm literally just sitting in a room, reminding people to breathe. And the most beautiful part about being in a studio doing that is that every single person around you is literally thinking of good intentions. So it's better than a sauna. It's better than a steam room. Like you are in an intention bath. Like it's the coolest, most surreal situation to be in because you're able to start your day with positive energy. And I think body language, again, your body changes every single day. So it's like you're learning about, oh, my body's a little stiff today. Oh, I think I might be a little dehydrated. This is what I need. This is what I need. So you're kind of moving, you're walking more with confidence and you're saying better things to yourself every day. And words are the most powerful force available to humanity. So to be able to say these things to yourself and then go right into contracts. And by all means, you guys, I'm not a yogi in real estate. I am a hound. Like I will be screaming at people and then I'll walk into a studio like, hi, everyone, let's relax. So life is balance. I am not like a yogi. Like I fight. Sometimes I'm a bad person in my car, but it's like to be able to have that balance. I think it comes down to practicing so much and having that overall health that gives me the confidence to conquer people, bringing it back full circle to that question. I think that's the way that I'm able to kind of, chest out, broaden shoulders, telling them like, I know what I'm doing, and now looking at what I've done, I just got started. Like, I'm not looking at that like, wow, look what I've done. I literally had to ask my assistant, hey, what have I done? Because I'm going on this podcast. So just tell me like what the sales were and stuff. And she texted to me like 30 minutes ago. So, or whenever we started. So. But yeah, I just got started. I'm very hungry for more business. Bring it. I'm hungry for more classes. I'm ready to keep going.
I have some people, at least in the yoga world, that I'm like, oh, I want to connect you with.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I see Ellie going on a retreat one of these
I know.
days.
I was like,
she loves retreats.
I went to Burning Man this year.
You don't have to ask her twice.
I know.
You're like going to Italy. She's like, when? What are the dates? How much?
We have amazing retreats that we've done. Valeria has never been on one. Such a shame. But I mean,
why not, Val? Why not?
Yeah, and you know what? The timing for us.
She's hustling too.
The timing.
Worked her ass off helping a startup.
Yeah.
Go to 200 plus people, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too. Like when we do retreats, like having Wi-Fi is super important because again, I'm still working while I'm there. Mm-hmm. But we've had some really, really crazy experiences, volcano eruptions in Iceland, swimming with 100 dolphins in Hawaii, having a wild horse walk right up to me in Hawaii, Italy. I mean, Italy is just unreal. We are doing Greece this year as well. We're doing Morocco. I mean, we've just had an amazing experience and it's really cool to me to know that I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm able to do real estate as well. And my clients, God bless them, will never question that. They'll never be like, oh, what are you doing? Traveling. They're like, I know that you're so good at what you do because you still make time for yourself. And I created a business out of it. So it's like I am working. And
what do these trips usually cost approximately?
So it just depends. They typically range, if it's international, they usually range from around like 7,000 to 10,000. And that's usually within a week because a lot of people that are working, you don't want to miss 2 full weeks or you don't want to dive into, a Wednesday pulling into the second week of work. So we'll try to make it like you leave on a Sunday and then you come back on that Sunday. If it's in state, It usually ranges from around probably like 5 to 7,000, and that's Sedona, Montana. We're thinking of doing Park City, Deer Valley, Utah. We've been looking into Aspen, but then there's also islands that are short, like St. Bart's we're thinking of doing.
Costa Rica's right in our backyard.
I
And
know
not that
Costa
far.
Rica is
I
backyard,
went
but
there
you know
abroad
what?
when I was in college. It's amazing. It's
I know,
beautiful.
and I would love to do it. I think that for us, the biggest thing is like trying to do the retreats that a lot of other yoga, companies don't do.
I was gonna say Costa Rica is so overdone.
Yeah, like you would say that.
I went in.
You would say
I
that.
went in 2000. I went in
I was like-
2004 when it wasn't like it is today. Now
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, everyone's like,
scaled all the bigger
Tulum
hotels.
or Mexico and stuff
no.
like that. And it's like, that's really cool. Actually, I would actually like to join that retreat.
Yeah.
Where was
Like,
it?
I love that. I'm all for it. But it's like, for us, we were like, let's game change. Let's go ahead and do.
Hey, go to Thailand then. Why are you holding
Oh my
back?
God.
It's another one. I'm like, Europe is different.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah.
Oh no, I think we should call people on Owl.
Okay, we'll look for some travel gurus. Well,
Yeah,
I'm looking
because-
people up. You guys continuously have a conversation because I got to look at the different experts.
I'm already like Samara. I'm already thinking of people. She'd be.
Well, they might not be available.
Yeah.
So go ahead, keep talking.
But yeah, when we first started our retreat company, we were like, my business partner Kim, her name is Kim Dorning. She's amazing.
I've heard of her before, like
She's
seen her on
awesome. South African, like
Okay.
beautiful inside and out. She was a student of mine. She walked into my class. We just hit it off. And I think 7-8 years later, she left a job. She became a teacher. And I was like, dude, we should start that retreat company. So when we started it, we were like, well, are they here?
Oh, yeah, we have someone.
Okay, hold on.
Hey, Diana.
Book note that.
Diana, can you hear me? It's Jason.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good. You are live on the Owl podcast. Can you help us out by telling us in 30 seconds or less just a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. My name is Diana Ochoa. I have about 2 decades of experience in corporate America, and I'm bringing that experience into my business. I'm the co-founder of Uptown Digital Marketing, and I help businesses enhance their online visibility and conversions through the digital landscape.
Very cool.
Nikki, do you have a question for Diana?
How did you get into this and when did you start?
Into digital marketing?
Yes.
I got into this when I was in my early 20s and working in corporate America in the telecommunications and media industry. I love marketing. I think it's fascinating understanding the psychology of the consumers and sales funnels, and I love the strategy. So I started working with major companies just to live in New York, and I just fell in love with it. I just love to be challenged and being able to move the needle and see how my expertise can help move the needle for the company.
What kind of marketing do you specialize in? Like, I'm sure that's a general question, but what's your favorite type of marketing that you hone in on?
So we do digital marketing. So anything from website development, optimization, SEO, paid ads, social media management, email marketing. However, myself, Diana, I love the strategy part when it comes to understanding sales funnels, understanding what kind of messaging can we use, what platforms should we be in, what's the unique value proposition for that we offer, right, or my client has. Also, who is the competition? How are they positioning themselves? How can we differentiate from the others?
Very cool. I have another question. Sorry.
Go for it.
So, okay. So have you, I'm in real estate. So this is a question regarding marketing in real estate. I don't know if you've worked with anybody in that field, but what would you recommend for the marketing in South Florida for real estate?
So I think I haven't worked in real estate per se. However, the fundamentals will be the same. It's very competitive. So I think staying on top of mind for the customers is key. However, SEO, number one, you have to position yourself right as a thought leader, and being able to rank in Google when they do Google searches, it's fundamental. So SEO definitely in making sure that you stay on top of your customers, nurturing your existing customers that you have already done business with, through email marketing, making sure that they know that you know the area where they're looking in. Like, for example, one of my recommendations will be, if you are handling and dealing with South Florida, become that expert, ensuring that they know that you are the expert on the area, so you can make recommendations, what's best for them. So that will be my recommendation. Email marketing, SEO, definitely search engine optimization.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really good advice.
And Diana, I like the email marketing part because so often it's overlooked. Everyone goes right to social media because it's free. They always post and they look for incoming traffic from all the posts that they do. But when you look at people that are just doing outbound email marketing, they're quite successful. And often people just get lazy and they're like, I don't want to do outbound marketing when it comes to emailing. Right. They get frustrated. They don't know someone to talk to really like get them going on that end, or they think of it as just a newsletter. Right. But there's so much more to it. Of course, you could take people through a funnel, then you could advertise to them on social media and go deeper and deeper.
Email marketing, it's one of the most overlooked tools. It's very affordable, and it's a way to get right in front of your customer. And number three, normally it doesn't take one time for a customer to make a decision. You need to be in front of their eyes multiple times. They need to hear about your business, your service, your product multiple times. It says that it takes about 7 times before a customer makes a decision to take action. So email marketing, it's an excellent way to stay on top of them, and through nurturing campaigns to dripping campaigns, right? And you have different messages. One time you can use a message about the benefits. The other time you can use, facts, different kind of messages until you convince and you influence the behavior of your customer.
Okay. I know 7 times. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the second time I hear
they
that.
say 7 times.
Really?
Yeah.
And I almost feel like a lot of people go off signs now too. So it's like after
It is
6th or 7th time, you're like, it's a sign.
Yeah, I just tried it for the first time just for Owl, reaching out to influencers. And I was like, oh, this is never going to work. I usually just send voice memos on Instagram. That's like my thing. But because I don't
love a good voice memo. I love a good voice memo.
Voice memos. But I tried this new software, and it was like by the 5th email, I actually got responses. And it was literally like, if you're not interested, just let me know already so I can stop bothering you. And then they responded, and I was like, this is crazy. This actually
That's
worked.
cool.
Yeah. So it does work.
Well, Diana,
also think about personalization is key. Now you have an opportunity to tailor your message so it resonates with whoever you're targeting. Yeah.
And may I just say, the art of the handwritten letter is still very important, and not the ones that like people are printing out that look like handwritten letters. We're finished with that. Like I got one of those and I was like, come on. But I mean, the art of the handwritten letter is still so important, I think, for marketing too. Diana, do you agree?
It does. It does. I actually did a test years ago while I worked for a major telecommunications company, and it did outperform the regular letter.
Amen.
It does.
You know what it also comes down to? Everyone's just going after volume, right? And people just don't slow down for a moment and just build a good quality relationship
Quantity
like
over
we were talking about earlier, which is a treat. So I got to give some props to DeRay and Company. Anytime I send her a referral, something arrives. Like she'll send like an email saying pick out a gift somewhere, or a random package comes in the mail. And I just think that it's amazing. Like she's got a system down to a science. And a lot of real estate professionals have that as well. Like they're really good at it, and some don't, of course. They just go right to the next transaction, the next one.
Yeah.
And, I always say, lately on posts, like relationships matter. You'll see that frequently on the Owl app.
Yeah.
Because so often everyone's just chasing, another viral post. Like recently on TikTok, someone viral for, singing for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And now everyone else is just copying that individual, trying to go viral themselves.
Yeah.
And, it's just not that authentic. And, when you talk to people, they could hear the tone in your voice when you see them on video, on Zoom, or in person. And it's just not one and done. You continuously you show up And I give credit to Ellie. She sends voice notes all the time, and they could hear her tone in her voice. But she shows up. Like, she's like, let's grab a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Or in the new modern way of having a cup of coffee, I always say, is having a podcast with the individual while having a cup of coffee.
I mean, look at me. This
Right?
coffee, Ellie.
Yeah.
Connoisseur.
Our newest barista.
That is relational marketing.
Well, Diana, thanks for joining us on the Owl Podcast. Definitely look up Val and Nikki under the featured Owl category. Val was on the Shrimp Tank about 2-3 weeks ago, and Nikki will be listed under the featured Owl category today. And then y'all could connect a little later and have a cup of coffee because Diana's in South Florida as well.
Amazing.
Okay.
Diana, thank you so much.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Okay, so that was your first experience.
Very cool.
And now we get to rate the professional. And we're going to give her 5 stars. We'll
I
put
love
great
that.
call.
Very
Yeah.
cool app. Very
So-
cool app.
This is a perfect app for you because think about when you're driving, right? And I'm just going to put you on the spot for a second. What do you do when you're driving? You're not allowed to be texting.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're not texting. Maybe at
Not.
red lights. I always look
Red lights
over
on
and
the highway.
it's a little different. But when you're driving, from Fort Lauderdale to Miami, you're on
Yeah.
the highway. What do you typically do?
I mean, Bluetooth for sure in my car. Or to be honest, I mean that's in.
So you're speaking to people,
I'm
is
speaking.
what you're saying.
That's where I literally
phone
get all
calls.
my conversations out. Yeah, like
Okay.
all my follow up calls, like checking in with people. Yeah, it's on Bluetooth. I'm on calls.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So with Owl, the best part about it is you're at that red light or before you start driving, if you don't have another call to make,
Yeah,
just look down and call someone,
yeah,
right? Because you could literally build a relationship with someone like Diana on the go.
yeah. That's really cool.
I do that all the time. And too often people go on defense on Owl, right? They're like, well, I went available. No one wanted to call me. And I'm like, but there's 10, 20 experts that you can just look down that are $1 to $5 like Diana, who are just, there to network. Diana worked for, I believe, a big Fortune 500 company. Very similar story to yours, Val. And she went out on her own in the last year or so, right?
Oh.
So when it comes to her marketing, it's like, it's an amazing opportunity to connect with someone like Diana for a few dollars because she's out there growing and collaborating with others with her business. Where we all know is like someone like Diana, she's going to get going in the next 5 years, and then she's going to be unreachable.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be a lot harder.
It's like an app for. It's honestly kind of like a little retreat. It's like an app for entrepreneurs.
It's like a
that
virtual
it's that
networking
dinner
event
table
in a
of
way.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like also most of the people on Owl are solo entrepreneurs and they get the struggle sometimes of starting your own business. And like everyone is really willing to help each other out, do trades, referrals. So it's just a nice community.
Yeah.
A lot of times I just call people, just like today I was at the car wash. So I was like, I have time to kill. Called a random person, was just like, oh, I just like to get to know people on this app. What do you do? And she might then be like, oh, my cousin needs like a singer for a gig or whatever. Like it's not even them, So just people
That's
are really like, they want to connect. They're literally sitting there. Please call me, I'm live. So it's nice to connect with people who are actually waiting to speak with someone rather than like you feel like you're bombarding someone with a
Sure.
sale.
Yeah.
So it's just a great way to like get your foot in the door. So yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, it's bedtime. So this is our favorite part of every week's episode. So we're going to bet you something. If you lose, we're going to put a wager up and it's going to go both
I
directions.
love a good bet.
Okay.
Let's go.
She's in the car a lot. So it's probably going to be
Yeah.
something regarding outbound calls. And it's going to relate to the Owl app, of course.
Okay.
Ellie, you have something in mind?
Mm.
Something a little bit more unique than we've done the last 2 weeks? You're like, make 10 calls. No,
Yeah.
I'm already winning
No,
this
no,
bet.
I
I'm already
mean-
winning.
Well,
I think we
feel
have
like
to
I know what you're going to want.
we're going to incorporate both of them.
Yeah.
Val's on the app as well.
Val's
There's
here.
no bets during the Shrimp Tank. So we could hold them both accountable because Val's going to kind of
Yeah.
put a little pressure on Nikki to complete the
course.
bet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of something other than making calls. I mean, it could be referrals. So how about you
She
have
teaches yoga. So she's in front of a lot of people. She can present the app in front of everybody at a yoga class, which is very easy for her to get referrals.
Right. So maybe you have to, so we usually do like within the week. So by next Tuesday, you would have to, I'm going to just say, make 5 calls on Owl, be in the car, wherever, on the go. They're 10-minute increments, so it's not too bad. And then get 5 new referrals for the app.
5 and 5.
Yeah.
Bet.
And then, so if you win, you get something from us. So it could be like, you get to use our studio for free for your own episode.
Very
It could
cool. Don't make us
be
rap.
an Jason knows a lot of people, an introduction to, I mean, we'll probably give you introductions anyway, but
I get it. I'm picking out what you're putting down.
but yeah, so like if you see something in the studio or like in our office that you're like, I want that, you know.
We're giving away stuff in the studio. You can have
She's
this
like, we're gonna give you
microphone, this headset.
She's like, we're going to
Our
give you a
coffee
live
machine.
owl.
Just don't touch our
An
coffee
owl.
machine.
You can have the cat
We're
for
gonna
the
have this
day.
owl.
Just don't touch our
have
coffee
Rufus.
machine, okay?
I don't know, just anything that you like, you can think of that you would want from us if you win, if you complete that task.
Don't make promises. You can't
So, do you have something on your mind right now?
No.
You have to think about it.
I'll have to. Do you, Valeria?
Yeah, that we
Can
had
I
our
make-
first episode.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes,
So
you
we
get
could
the
do a
studio.
test
You can
trial
put like
run.
your own
We are
picture
gonna
up
come up.
here.
We are going to come up with something magnificent for a podcast. For sure.
Okay,
I
you
can
guys
feel
are
it
on your
brewing.
podcast in the studio.
Yeah, I
You
can
know,
feel it brewing.
So, if you lose, what do we get? Ooh.
And I think we got to add Val to this. She is on Owl, and I could see she's completed 1 call with Chela Diaz
Oh yeah.
26
Chella.
days ago, right? So we got timestamp.
All right, you have to do it too.
We're gonna make
4 days left.
Val do it as well. Okay.
All right, that's fair.
So, like, what do we want? I don't know. What do you want, Jason?
You want some yoga sessions?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not allowed
can-
to
Maybe
go.
some passes
I'm not allowed to go
studio.
on the trip. I would like to go on a trip. I
I
love
know. I'm like, I
traveling.
want to go on the trip.
I want to go to Italy.
Yeah.
But,
Guys, that's a
I don't
good
think
one.
that's happening.
That's
I have a
a lot.
9 and
It's
7. I have a
places.
9 and 7-year-old. Not easy to get a week
Yeah.
to get a week off with my wife.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that we do a call-in episode in the future, right? They both know a lot of people, and we get them to do some type of call-in show where they promote themselves on all their socials, and then you're looking at me like, nah, we've done that one
Nah.
No,
before.
I think that's good. I think that's
They're like,
good.
Well, how about, because this is the problem. We've done call-in shows before, and no one, like,
Well,
all
we're
our
promoting it
people
to our
call in,
audience.
and then no one from your, like, the other people's end call in. So
The
then it
problem
doesn't
is not
really.
promoted right
it's-
on the other person's end.
So, like,
what ends up
I feel like-
happening is we promote it to our own audience internally, and then they walk away like, this was great.
They're like, oh, I got all these new
I got
followers,
10
and
new
we got
cli-
like nothing.
Literally,
You know
they're
what
like,
I'm saying?
I got 10 new clients.
I
And
have
I
a
was like,
question. I have a
yeah, those are all the people that have been on our podcast through the Hell community. And I'm like, that didn't, we got no downloads at the end
No,
of the
I
day.
think it'd be
We
cooler to
would-
do like an event, like do like a yoga class,
Totally. In a
like
meditation.
event, and I can do meditation, and then we like also give a talk about like owl or something.
Okay.
Did we just come up
I
with
think
a
that would be
non-bet?
cool.
Just like an event that we're going to host?
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Woo!
bet on you. You bet on me.
Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, so just like the way that you called Diana,
Yeah.
have you guys ever had anybody like, because you're like, you're being recorded. Are you okay? And she was kind of like, oh, sure. Have you ever had anyone being like, no, and then hang
Honestly,
up? Like, live?
no.
We know most of the people
Yeah.
that we've made outbound calls to. So we look for
So
established
that we know her.
professionals that
Yeah.
Okay.
I've used the platform, for more than a week, or I've even spoken to them, or Ellie has. So they're kind of used to Owl.
Okay.
They know us already.
But yeah, I think we haven't done an event in a while. We had an event last year. We did a live we brought
Those
like
events
there was,
take
like,
my soul.
150
That's
or
why.
200 people out, and I think it's time for a new event.
I think this is
And
the
we can
sign.
get-
I'm running
bring
the
our
event.
communities
You're
together.
running the event.
Mhm.
I
not running
mean,
the
I don't love running events.
I'll teach. You
But-
can meditate. Valeria will
yeah.
rap.
Stay there.
We have other
Valeria will
people.
rap
We
for
can
us.
Ellie loves doing the event.
Bring
She
in
showed up
from our
at 4:45, and the event started at 5. And I had to set up 2 podcast
The yogi.
booths.
Oh my god.
I'm like
We
not.
had
I'm not like
16
an early.
We did an
person,
interactive podcast. We interviewed the CEO of Celsius,
Getting better with my
Tint World,
time
Pro
management.
Pro,
but-
and we
Yeah.
kind of gave the stage of a podcast by Rocco's Tacos in Boca
Cool.
Center. It was really, really cool. But it took so much planning, and everyone's like, "You got to do this all the time." I was like, "Yeah," but I was like, "Hey, I lost like $5,000."
But I feel like if you
Two, it's like-
collaborate
I'm
with
like-
people, it's easier.
I'm
to
like,
get
it
stuff
like
done.
it took so much from
Easier.
me. I was like,
Yeah.
Collaborating with people. And again, that's one of those words where you're like, if I ever hear the word like collaborating again, because social media.
I know.
But that comes back to our very, very first question, because you were saying like, what is the best advice for like, social media? And it literally still is to connect with people. So you're right. Events always are easier.
Is Nikki going to finance it?
Collaborate with you. I won't be there.
Who's financing this event? I agree.
It's going to be low cost. Okay.
Yeah.
Like yoga class, you can do outside.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm all about low cost.
Borderline donation base, unless Valgorithm here wants to sponsor us.
Yeah, no. But I think
that's if you fail, but we might do it anyway. So stay tuned for.
Yeah, it's not going to fail.
But I don't think you're going to fail. Yeah. Hearing your sales numbers and everything. I mean, people talk a lot of big game on this podcast and then don't follow through. But I have a good feeling.
The pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure.
We'll see.
The thing is always starting something that you don't have experience with. So a lot of sales professionals are good, but then it's like this app. They have to first take a moment and learn it before taking that first call. So it's usually a lot of people fail because they just never get off the ground.
Even though it is true.
Like we have professionals out there that have 0 calls and they've been in the app, they've been on the Owl podcast. I'm like, how they have 0 calls? It's just like they go right back to the normal situation that they're usually in, which is their current business cycle. And they're like,
For those of you listening, the only things you really need to know are make sure your ringer is on. Don't put your phone on silent. Make sure that you hit the call button. It's pretty simple. So, make sure that your office hours, that's a big thing. People are live on the app and they don't realize that when they first signed up, they had office hours where they automatically were live and didn't realize it. So just as long as you do those couple things, you're good to go. And you can always reach us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on the app. We are always quick to respond and answer your questions. So yeah, no excuses.
Okay, well, that wraps up today's episode here on the Owl Podcast. If you would like to reach out to our guests, of course, go right to the Owl app, click their profile. We'll put links to this episode on their profile at the bottom, and then give them a ring. Talk to them one-on-one and build a relationship like they talked about during today's episode. Take care, everybody.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Post-production for the Owl Podcast is done with care by Ocean Tree Creative.
Okay. I feel like you're so good at talking. I really have to ask you.
Sorry,
just keep going. I know I was like great. Yeah, really, you're a great